Hi friends, thanks for joining me. I am so excited that you're here catching this video and that you want to learn another leadership lesson from my garden. Now, if you're new and you don't know me, my name is Leslie Carver, and I started sharing some leadership lessons that I learned through my vegetable garden a couple of years ago. I have a new lesson for us today, and I can't wait to share it with you. First, I want to share the garden story, and then I'll share the connection for the leadership lesson. So let's go ahead and dive in. We are going to meet today's teacher, and the vegetable of choice is lettuce. So I grew lettuce for the first time a few years ago. It was easy, it was delicious, and I've wanted to grow it every year since. Well, when I looked for the same brand, the same type, I couldn't find it. And then I just thought, well, you know what? I'm not going to grow anything if I can't grow what I want to grow. So for the past couple years, I was stubborn and I only hurt myself. And this year I thought, okay, enough's enough. Let's take a chance and let's try something else. So this year I bought some Buttercrisp lettuce. And honestly, my attitude was a little bit bad. My expectations were a little low. And I thought, oh, there's no way I'm going to like this. I loved the other lettuce. I want the other lettuce. Does that sound familiar? We don't always want what's in front of us. We want what we used to have. Well, when I bought my vegetable seedlings, I brought them home and I neglected them. I had great ideas. I had great plans. I knew what I wanted the garden to look like. I was designing it all in my mind, but the truth was I was busy. It was a busy season. Spring had a lot on the calendar and I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And one day turned into a week. And I don't want to tell you really how long it took for me to get these cute little lettuce seedlings planted in my garden. But the good news is they survived. It was a miracle, and I was able to plant them. So once I got them in the ground, they were all exposed to the same elements. And actually, I should back up for a minute too. From the time that I brought them home, they were all exposed to the same conditions. So equal care, equal neglect, but equal water, equal sunshine, equal temperature. Everything was the same. So you would expect to see 4 lettuce seedlings looking the same. Well, as you can tell from my picture, that's not what happened at all. I just took this picture recently, and you notice I planted 4 and I have 3. Well, that's because my first one just didn't survive. It started shriveling up, it turned brown, and I had to remove it from the garden. Well, another one, the littlest one in the picture, is kind of what everything looked like when I planted them. And this one just hasn't grown. Of course, it hasn't died yet, and I'm an optimistic person. So I'm hoping we're going to see something develop with that one. The third one is showing a little bit of growth. That's the one over on the left. And then the one on the right, it was like overnight. It just started growing and was just doing so well. And that's when I was thinking, wait a minute, what can we learn about leadership from this? And I thought, well, am I going to harvest anything? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. But I do know that my fun little lesson here on lettuce in the garden is going to help us to be better leaders. Because if we pause and start looking around at our workplace, I suspect you're going to find you have Buttercrisp lettuce in your environment as well. So I told you one thing that I want in the beginning, and I actually should pause here for just a minute and get to 3 situations before I dive in any further. And I want you to think about 3 situations that you probably see in your workplace. In situation number 1, I told you I only wanted the same brand and the same type of lettuce that I'd had in my garden before. And if you think about a great employee, when that great employee leaves, oftentimes a manager wants to replace them with someone that's exactly the same. They want an employee with the same skill set, the same experience, the same education, the same loyalty. And sometimes they can get so narrow-minded, like I was with my lettuce, that they are limiting their options because how many other kinds of lettuce is out there that I was ignoring, and having these really high expectations that the next employee coming in is going to be just as great as the employee that left. And we know that's not what happens. And when we have these really high expectations and we limit our options, we just hurt ourselves in the process, like I did, not growing any lettuce for the past couple years. Now, situation number 2 is I told you that I neglected my lettuce seedlings, like when I brought them home, because I was busy. And the sad thing is we do the same thing with our employees. Whether they're new to the company, maybe they were promoted or they transferred to a new position, a lot of times employees kind of have to survive on their own. I mean, we're excited. We're really excited when we fill a position. We've got someone new coming to our team. We know they're going to be able to do a lot of really great things. But our schedules can get to be so busy and our calendars so full that we say what I said to the lettuce, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And then we don't even notice the damage that we're causing because we're neglecting what our employees need. And then situation number 3, I told you that my vegetable seedlings went through the same experience. Equal neglect and equal care, equal temperature, equal water. You remember all of that. Well, think about your onboarding programs. And are you doing the same thing that I did? Employees usually go through similar steps, whether they are hired individually or whether they come in kind of a group setting. Your employees tend to have the same experience, the same training, the same paperwork, the same hoops to jump through. Everyone is going through the same thing. So then, does everyone perform the same? No, of course not, because everyone is different. But that's kind of like my lettuce. I put those 4 in the ground. I have 4 very, very different results. Well, what I'm doing with the lettuce is looking back going, okay, what can I do differently? What should I do differently? Making my notes for next year. And then I realized, how often do we reflect on our onboarding program? How often do we say, what went well? What needs to be improved? What insight can our employees give us? Do we make it safe for them to say, yeah, this part was really bumpy, or I really like this? Because ultimately you want to be bringing these employees in, giving them great experiences because you want them to stay. You don't want to be wasting your time and losing your employees. Well, I have some great news for you. And that is, you don't have to wait until next year like I do to plant more lettuce. I mean, technically I could do it in the fall, but you can actually do something now. If anyone on your team is reminding you of Buttercrisp lettuce, think about those employees that shriveled up and didn't last. Think about your employees that might not be growing right now, or the ones that's growing slowly, or those great employees that are just doing really well and knocking it out of the park. How long did it take them to get there? And what kind of training did they have to reach that? What can you duplicate? What can you pull out to increase your chances of other employees performing really well? And it doesn't matter what stage these employees are in, if they're not growing slowly, or even if they're your all-stars, if they're still showing up for work for you, you have opportunities to give them experiences and the tools they need for growth now. You don't have to wait. So what I want you to do is to start thinking of your workplace as a garden. Think about what your employees are experiencing every day. What does their environment look like? Do they get enough sunlight and water? And is it the right temperature? Is it a hostile environment that needs to cool down a little bit? Or is it lukewarm and it needs some excitement in there? What about support? Do you have employees that need some support or some guidance, or maybe even some space where they can spread out a little bit? Do they need some quiet time to process what's going on, or do they need to talk to someone and brainstorm together to make sure they're retaining what it is they need in order to do the job well? And then when I have supplements on our slide here, supplements is ways to help employees grow. So think of it as training, boosters, conferences, opportunities, events, whatever it is that they need, what can help them be a little bit more confident in their work and increase their knowledge and skills at the same time. Point number 4 is pests. And I know none of us like to talk about pests in the workplace, but as leaders, you definitely have to address them. So think about what's causing pests, what's causing a little bit of damage, and what is the way that you can get in there and either treat the pest, remove the pest, relocate the pest. I don't know what it is, but you kind of get where I'm going with this. Think about what's causing a lot of difficulty within the department or within the company, and how it is that you want to be able to rearrange that and help everyone to thrive a little bit better. And then I'm going to wrap things up with just this one last question. What are you going to do about it? And where are you going to start? You can't tackle everything at the same time. You will set yourself up for failure. But if you can just take one thing, the environment, support, training, supplements, pests, what do you want to do? Start somewhere and see if that can help. Look at that onboarding program, make some adjustments. If you don't have one, you can create an onboarding program. And if you're someone going, I'm just not sure, I need to think about this a little bit, I would like to invite you to join my free Facebook group. I started it earlier this year to give leaders and anyone of any title, you don't have to be official here. If you have influence in your workplace and you want to help create a safe space to learn more about retaining employees, please look at my Facebook group. It's called Retention Revolution, creating environments where employees want to stay. I'd love to have you there. I'll post a link in the comments, and then we will be on this gardening journey or our leadership journey together.